host Rob. This video we're going to do our review of the next episode of The Walking Dead. Okay guys, welcome back. So this episode called Still, episode 12, I gotta be honest, I wasn't too crazy about this episode. I mean, it was okay, but the problem is that up until recently, we really didn't know a whole lot about Beth. I mean, yes, we knew her, but she was always in the background and singing, taking care of the kids, and now we've gotten so much of her that it's almost too much too soon, at least for me. I mean, this episode just kind of felt like filler, and I guess this is the kind of thing you have to expect from a show every now and then. We shouldn't get it, and it shouldn't be like that. And it's unfortunate that it had to be Daryl, an episode that included so much of Daryl, because he obviously is probably the most popular character in the show. And we got to see, I mean, I like the scene with the emotion when they were at that outhouse, or the outhouse. Well, that's what it looked like, actually, at the end of the day. A big-ass outhouse. I mean, he did take a piss in the corner. But the whole thing with that scene was great. The emotion there, and the fact that you could see that Beth, for the most part, is kind of living in a dream world, and Daryl Dixon is more on like it's not like that. And then you get to see that the roles kind of reverse. I mean, Beth is kind of giving Daryl a shoulder to lean on, and Daryl's kind of letting out his emotions. We finally see that while he is tough and he's a badass, he's a badass character, that he's human. He has emotions. And we all knew this because we've seen this before. So I guess the fact that they had to highlight that again, that doesn't make sense to me. But at the same time, I think it was more for Beth to flush out her character. But the thing of it is that I'm just not into Beth as much as I am into some of the other characters. So this, for me, didn't do anything. And I'm sure there's other people out there who feel differently, because we all gravitate towards our own characters that we like. For me, Beth is not one of them. So for me, this show was like a waste. Like, they could have accomplished what they did in this show with maybe 15 minutes of them spread out through an episode that would have included other characters. Now, again, that scene where they're there and they're talking and the whole thing breaks out and he gets a little bit aggressive, well, a little bit aggressive. He gets really aggressive, and she kind of stands up to him. I mean, that's all good. The opening, when you see them struggling, I mean, again, I mentioned that in my preview video, that it's going to be interesting to see them struggle, but I don't want to see them struggle throughout the whole episode. I just kind of felt that it just drew. They didn't have to make a whole episode about both of them. And if you're going to make a whole episode about Daryl, I just wouldn't stick Daryl with Beth. I just don't. I mean, it's been cool to see them together. It's definitely an odd couple, and they've obviously worked together. They've had attitude. They spent a little bit too much time together, but it just didn't feel like it needed to be like that, and yes, I guess you could say that. I mean, this could be a homage. This could be a hindsight. Excuse me, I'm using all the wrong words. This could be a sign that Beth's demise is on the way. Because sometimes when a character has a big breakout episode like this, and this was a big breakout episode for her, shortly thereafter they croak. Let's just be honest, they croak. So this could be a sign of bad things to come from Miss Beth. Now, there really isn't a whole lot else to dissect. I mean, we already know from the other episodes that Michonne and Carl and a good number of people are heading towards this sanctuary. Getting to know what Daryl was before the zombie apocalypse was very underwhelming, but at the same time, not surprising. I mean, a lot of people's like, oh, I want to get to know Daryl more. I want to get to know Daryl more. But at the end of the day, when you really think about it, we knew him. We knew him from day one. I mean, if you just look at the first 2.5 seasons, or excuse me, the first 2 seasons, maybe halfway into the third, you kind of know that Daryl came from nothing. I mean, during the time he was walking in the forest with Andrea, looking for Sophia in season 2, he mentioned how Merle was in and out of juvie. His father was a deadbeat. He'd have to take care of himself. He was always with his brother. Even when his brother was being a pain in the ass and was a villain to some extent, he still ran off with and chose his brother over the group. So it really, when he comes out and he says, all I did before this was hang around with my brother, and whatever he decided we were going to do, that's what we're going to do. It just wasn't surprising, because when you hear him say that, you're like, oh, duh, yeah. How could we not know that? That's what he did pretty much in the first season, and every time he referred to Merle, or every time Merle and him were together, or when we first met him in season 1, and the first thing he's looking for is Merle, and Merle's on the roof. So that was an underwhelming backstory, because we knew it already. When you really sit down and think about it, we already knew that. So that takes the element of surprise out of that, and all you're left with is Beth. And unless you really, really love Beth, I think this episode was not too great. I think it's just a filler. It's a filler. I mean, there were some great shots. The burning of the house, the moonshine. Okay, that's all good. I will say this though. Other than the middle of the episode where they started really talking and communicating, and heading off and towards the end, the beginning was very cool in terms of I felt like it was like a Resident Evil game because after they left the camp and they found the country club, very very Resident Evil like. They go into the country club. It's this big country club. You got the clock and the thing attracting all the zombies. They're going in and out of rooms. It's dark. There's a zombie that pops out of here, a zombie that pops out of there. Very Resident Evil ish. And I'm talking about the old school ones. I'm talking about like the first one, not the later ones that got a little bit crazy, which my opinion, they should have renamed it. They should have taken the name Resident out of it and just called it something else. But that's neither here or there. But again, it was an okay episode. It's just definitely not my favorite. Actually, probably my least favorite this year. I'm just not into Beth. That's the problem. Norman Reedus' character, Daryl Dixon, at the end of the day, we all knew where he came from. It shouldn't be a surprise that he comes out and he talks about hanging out with Merle all the time. And to be quite honest, I actually thought he was a convict. I thought the story was going to head in the direction that he was a convict, and when all hell broke loose, Merle went and got him out of jail. Because when she talked about being a convict or I've never been in jail before, stuff like that, he kind of gave her a dirty look, and then that's kind of when he flew off the handle. So I said, oh shit, he was a convict. Maybe he killed somebody. Maybe he did something kind of like Lee in well, it doesn't matter if you haven't played the game by now, it's too late. But kind of like Lee in The Walking Dead, the game. He was a convict. He was a killer. Yet and trying to keep that information, but he obviously we all got to know him in the game. If you've played it, great guy. So but yeah, it was all right. It was all right. I mean, there's really not much to dissect and look at other than we got to see more of Beth and character-wise, it's great that she's a strong character now, but I'm just not into Beth enough to really care, to be honest. And not only that, the actress, Emily, she's okay. I mean, even the moonshine, she took the moonshine and she kind of, like, I just think she should be like spitting it out of her mouth the first time she tastes that. And then, even the scene where she's Daryl just stole that scene from her. I mean, he's getting all emotional, he's tearing up, and she's just kind of there like hugging. It's okay. It's like, just wasn't convinced. It wasn't a good. They could have done more with that. They could have got their message across in that episode without having to make it a full hour or full 45 minutes, and just kind of start going towards other characters. But you know what? That's that. Nobody's perfect. While I love the show, it is not a perfect show. But so that's it for this review. I'll do my preview this week. You guys can expect that for episode 13, and we will go from there. This is Rob signing off for ETN, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy. Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. I'm your host, Rob. This video, we're going to do our review of the next episode of The Walking Dead. Okay, guys, welcome back. So, this episode called Still, episode 12. I got to be honest, I wasn't too crazy about this episode. I mean, it was okay, but the problem is that up until recently, we really didn't know a whole lot about Beth. I mean, yes, we knew her, but she was always in the background and singing, taking care of the kids, and now we've gotten so much of her that it's almost too much too soon. At least for me. I mean, this episode just kind of felt like filler, and I guess this is the kind of thing you have to expect from a show every now and then. We shouldn't get it, and it shouldn't be like that. And it's unfortunate that it had to be Daryl, an episode that included so much of Daryl, because he obviously